Hello Bomb Bakers and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nicole and I share lots of delicious recipes as well as baking tips and tricks. Today we're going to make buttermilk biscuits and they're kind of like a cross between a scone and a jam drop. There's a little bit of sweet, a little bit of savory, and it will pair perfectly with our homemade jam, and I can't wait to share this recipe with you. Let's check out the ingredients. So we've got here some all-purpose flour, some buttermilk, and this is actually some shredded butter or grated butter, and we need to keep this extremely cold. So I've had it in the fridge up until now. We've also got some sugar, some baking soda, baking powder, and some salt. And then at the end, we will put on our beautiful jam, and I'll talk more about this in a second. We've also got some egg wash, some really crunchy sugar which we'll sprinkle on top, and then a little bit of icing sugar as well. With the jam, this is the homemade jam that we've got here, and it's raspberry chia. You can do any fruit jam that you like, and I have a recipe for this exact one here, and I'll leave the video in the description below for you. It's really easy to make and you can also do it ahead of time. Go ahead and preheat your oven to a moderate temperature, so around 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and grab yourself a large mixing bowl, and I'll also show you some utensils that I'm going to be using. Wooden spoon, little sieve, a basting brush, a whisk, and I also have a couple of scoops, and if you don't have scoops it's totally fine, just a spoon will be all good as well. One last thing, line a baking tray with some parchment paper. In your large bowl, we can now combine our flour, sugar, baking soda, baking powder, and our salt. We're just going to give that a little bit of a whisk, and then we will look at the butter and the buttermilk. You got to whisk it up, you know, whisk it up. It's time to go get our grated / shredded butter. Wow, that was quick. The reason that I grated my butter is because I want a nice even distribution of this fat throughout my cookie mixture. So now we can add it in, and I'm just going to use my wooden spoon and give it a bit of a stir, and we'll combine it, and then we'll start using our hands, so it's time to get your hands dirty. So this recipe works best with really cold butter, so you can keep yours in the fridge or even the freezer. I've had mine in the freezer for a little while just because I know I'm going to be working with it with my hands. So I want that nice even distribution, and I'm just rubbing the butter together with the flour and the other ingredients, and I just want it to be nice and even. So what we're looking for is the butter. If you do find any clumps or like large pieces of butter that have kind of stuck together, just break them down into kind of a small pea size, and then the rest of it should be grated anyway, so that'll all come together quite well. You won't get rid of all of the clumps, but what we're looking for is just nice and evenly spread throughout the mixture. The next thing that we need to do is add our buttermilk, so I'm going to do that, and we're going to mix it with our wooden spoon until it's just combined, and the mixture is probably only just going to come together. It is a bit of a balance between finding the right texture between too sticky and dry. So if you need to, you can add a tiny bit of buttermilk, but I just recommend always weighing your ingredients with a scale because it'll give you the most accurate and best results. I will leave the quantities in the description box below, but for the full recipe, head to lebombbaker.com. I've given this a good stir, and now I'm just going to get into this last bit with my hands really quickly. Alright, so with this last part, I just gave it a little bit of a knead with my hands really quickly, and now we're going to put this on our baking tray and bake it up. I'm going to use my spring handle scoop here just to get all the mixture out for my cookie biscuit sizes. But if you don't have one of these, as I said before, a spoon is totally fine as well. I like to use the scoop because it gives the most even result, and you kind of always get the same amount for your biscuits or your cookies. I just went to wash my hands and I spilt water all over myself. But anyways, we'll keep going. There are a few things that we need to do with our biscuits before they go into the oven. So the first thing is, as you can see, they're quite tall. So what we're going to do is flatten them out. I'm just going to use a bit of parchment paper here. Fold it in half. Maybe half again. And then I'm just going to press down on the center of it so that they kind of squish down a little bit. Next up, we're going to baste them with some egg wash, and this will make them go nice and golden and brown. With these buttermilk biscuits, we're actually going to bake them for a little while first until they soften. Then we will add the jam to the center, and then we'll cook them for a little bit longer. Okay, they've all got a bit of egg wash. Now we need to add our crunchy sugar to the top and give it a generous coat. We want it to be nice and crunchy and sweet. Into the oven they go for about 12 to 15 minutes. Woohoo! Alright, so I've just brought these out of the oven after 12 minutes, and I've taken them out because they look nice and lightly golden. So now all that we need to do is grab your tiny spoon here, and we're going to press down in the center of the biscuit so it makes kind of like a little well. And it should be easy enough to do at the moment because they're not completely cooked. And then we can add our jam, and then back in the oven they go for a couple more minutes. And in goes our raspberry chia jam into the little wells that we've just created space for. I'm gonna put these in the oven again until they're a little bit more golden, a little bit more crunchy, and they're cooked all the way through. I have just brought my biscuits out of the oven after another 6 minutes of cooking, and they're beautiful and golden now. I can tell that they're really gonna be nice and crunchy when we bite into it, but fluffy in the center as well. And the smell coming from the kitchen is actually incredible. I can smell the sugar and the biscuit. I can even smell the jam. Can't wait to eat one of these. We have to let them rest for a little while, and then we're going to dust around the outside of them with icing sugar, and they'll look so pretty. So now we're playing the waiting game until we can eat one. I have been very patiently waiting for these to cool down, and I think we are good to go. So the last little thing, as I said before, was just to sprinkle a little bit of icing sugar on top. So I'm just gonna put some here into my little sieve. And I'm just gonna go around the edges and tap it very gently so that it covers the biscuit, and our beautiful raspberry chia jam remains in the center. How absolutely beautiful do they look? They almost look too pretty to eat, but I guess someone's got to do it. Time for the best part. They taste really lovely. They've got a really nice crunchy outer, fluffy inside. The jam is bursting with flavor, and I love the little bit of sugar pop. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today and helping me bake these beautiful buttermilk biscuits with raspberry and chia jam. If you like this recipe, if you like this video, please make sure you give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Le Bon Baker, for all tips, tricks, and delicious recipes for the home baker. See you next week for the next delicious recipe.